Hello and welcome to the first of, I think it's 20 of these audio lectures, little revision activities that I've got on every single one of these anthology texts from the Edexcel English Language and Literature Voices anthology. And so we'll just go straight into it. We've got Charlie Brooker, who you may recognise from the photo here. You might have seen his news wipe or his end of the year wipe that he does as well, and he writes in mainly The Guardian. But so he's got this article here, which is 1.1 in the actual anthology itself, and it's Too Much Talk for One Planet, Why I'm Reducing My Word Emissions. And I chopped off a bit at the start there, but you can see all the most of the important stuff. So it's from The Guardian. Charlie Brooker's written that, English satirist and broadcaster. So satire, if you're not familiar with it as a genre, it is it's often humorous. It doesn't necessarily have to be humorous, but you're using sometimes humour, or you're critical of either human nature or aspects of human nature or very particular things in society. And the humour can be very dark sometimes. It can be kind of darkly ironic kind of humour. But that's a very short description of satire there as well. So I've got, if this is the first one that you've watched, or if this isn't the first one that you watch, you'll be familiar with this. We've got these little pointer here, which is a little lightsaber, and this is kind of unfamiliar collocation here of Too Much Talk for One Planet, Why I'm Reducing My Word Emissions. They're actually, there's really an analogy there to like pollution. It's like word pollution, isn't it, effectively? So we're used to hearing about things, environmental issues discussed in this way, but not really words. I've been overwhelmed by the amount of jabber in the world. It's a vast cloud of blah, or blah. So jabber, colloquialisms here, and blah is as well. And he's been overwhelmed by it, so it's obviously metaphorical because he's not really literally being overwhelmed by it. But anyway, he's obviously, the voice is, if you've ever seen his TV, actually, if you haven't seen his TV series, it's worth looking at some clips on YouTube, because you'll get a sense of his voice. His voice on TV is very similar to his voice in this article, which is, he's knowledgeable, he's obviously, he conveys a sense of intelligence, but he's perceptive, but there's also a lot of humour there, there's a lot of irony, there's self-deprecation, there's the satire is obviously there as well, and the colloquial side is there as well. So he balances all of those different things. So we open with, eagle-eyed readers may have spotted, so there's familiar collocation straight from the beginning there. So eagle-eyed readers may have spotted, and it works as a discourse marker, which is a phrase and term I use a lot. I haven't been writing this column for a while. Roughly 2 people notice his absence. So this is litotes, where he's playing this down. And that comes in what I said earlier on about self-deprecation, where you're making jokes at your own expense. So he's obviously, the implication is that people don't really read his article, which isn't true, because he's a public figure and people do read them, and he's on TV and people know who he is. Roughly 2 people notice its absence until the other day, when a paragraph in Private Eye, so that is an exphoric reference, it's to another publication you might have seen in Smith's. It's at the time of this video edited by Ian Hislop, who you'd recognise from Have I Got News For You, if you know that programme. But anyway, claimed I'd asked Alan Rusbridger, editor of The Guardian, to switch off the reader comments underneath my articles. He uses parenthesis, it's like conversational form really, isn't it? Not true. And that if refused to do so, also not true. So I'd quit, not entirely true. So that creates a conversational effect there. This led to an intense flurry of activity, by which I mean 4 people asked me about it. So he's being ironic there as well. And there's also in some ways a sense of bathos, because you've got that incremental kind of build-up of what's happening, and then it actually is punctured by only 4 people actually asked me about it, which is probably being ironic. It probably was more than that, or maybe it wasn't that many who were actually interested in it there as well. So that works quite well. So we have, although the private, I was going to say one other thing, I just remember what I was going to say. There's some degree of, in conversation we have face saving, and we talk to defend ourselves. That's what this first paragraph is effectively like. Really, it works like a face-saving strategy, even though really that's an idea from talk. But because it is quite conversational, it actually does work as a face-saving strategy, that opening paragraph. So I think I would include that. Although the private eye story wasn't completely wrong, I have stopped doing this particular column for a while for reasons I'll explain in a moment. So there's use of parenthesis there, which makes it more conversational there as well. I was all set to write to their letters page to whine in the most pompous manner imaginable, something I've always secretly wanted to do, and I figured I might as well respond here instead, for money. So there's more kind of self-deprecation, criticising himself. You've got a sense of bathos kind of linked here, so I might as well respond here instead, for money. And it kind of breaks normal kind of taboos about talking about money and what you're being paid for, but he's doing that deliberately. He's defying the standard convention of an article of this nature. Incidentally, I'm aware this is Olympic level navel gazing. That's hyperbole there as well. But you're a human being with free will who can stop reading any time. Here, have a full stop, and another, and another. There are exits all over this building. So there's some interesting stuff going on here. There's very much a self-referential thing going on here. The article really is postmodern in a way because it's acknowledging the interaction between the reader and the writer. So it's adopting this strange imagined scenario here where he's actually here, have a full stop. He's actually referring to the writing process and the structure of it. It's referring to itself. So that self-referential thing is really interesting in this. It really adds to the voice of someone who's quite subversive, who breaks the rules. So I think that's where I'd go with that. Then he uses this metaphor. There are exits all over this building. He uses that as a metaphor. It works as It works as an analogy. Anyway, I haven't quit the newspaper. This is all quite informal, isn't it? As an informal discourse marker, and then quit is an informal verb there. I haven't quit the newspaper, but I have for the meantime stopped writing weekly, partly because my overall workload was making that kind of timetable impossible, and partly because I've recently been overwhelmed by the sheer amount of jabber in the world, a vast cloud of blah I felt was contributing to every 7 days. So that's a metaphor there, the vast cloud of blah in itself as well. And this is very much like what modern life is like. So he gives a little imagined scenario here, doesn't he? If a weatherman misreads the national mood, this is kind of more light Otis there, and cheerfully Sieg Heils on BBC Breakfast. This is unfamiliar collocation. We don't associate anyone ever Sieg Heiling, which is the Nazi salute, cheerfully. He's doing this deliberately, ironically actually, and for humorous purposes. On BBC Breakfast at 8:45am, he's using it as a very extreme, exaggerated example of the kind of thing that he's annoyed about in the modern world. There'll be 86 outrage columns, 95 despairing blogs, 500,000 ride tweets, and a rib-tickling pass-the-parcel Photoshop meme about it circulating by lunchtime. There's a sense of incrementum there of the build-up of how these things spiral out, and probably, as I'm talking right now, something like that is happening around the world. So we have, here we go, it happens actually this is all cultural references as well, aren't they? Photoshop meme and things like that circulating by lunchtime, and tweets as well. Did you say tweets? I've lost it now. Yeah, blogs, actually, no, it says blogs, but say that. Oh yeah, there's tweets, sorry, I'm going completely eyes drifting off the page there, sorry. So we've got, it happens every day. Every day, a billion instantly conjured words. This is anadiplosis. Ends that sentence with that phrase, begins it with the same one there. Fits his spoken style. He does that when he's presenting his television programme as well. A billion instantly conjured words on any contemporaneous subject you can think of. Metaphorical there, conjured words like magic on any contemporaneous subject that you can think of. Events and noise, everything was starting to resemble nothing but events and noise. So you've got anaphora there, events and noise, you've got that. It works as a apostrophe as well, technically speaking, as he ends it. So there's a lot going on there with that. I had to pause there because ironically there were events and noise going outside which distracted me slightly, so I'll get back to the events and noise part of it. But the events and noise thing, you could actually say diacope there because it's got it sandwiched in between the two there. Firing more words into the middle of all that, that's metaphorical as well, began to strike me as futile and unnecessary. I started to view myself as yet another factory mindlessly pumping carbon dioxide into a toxic sky. So that's another metaphor there as well. You can see that up there. This is perhaps not the ideal state of mind for someone writing a weekly column in a newspaper. So this is more self-deprecation here, where he's mocking himself. Clearly it was time for a short break. Reader comments form part of the overall word storm. That's a metaphor as well. It's really actually like that actual form of word, storm, tends to form a modern suffix. We often use that. You can have, I won't say that a swear word there, but you can have a something storm, or you can create anything really, put any word in the front of storm, and you can use that in quite a versatile way. So he's used the neologism here, and you would have word storm described above, and it's true I'm not a huge fan of them, but that's chiefly because I'm an elderly man from the age of steam who clings irrationally to the outmoded belief that articles and letters pages should be kept separate. So he's doing it's exaggeration, it's hyperbole for effect there. He's exaggerating for effect, making out he's older than he actually is and that he's more old-fashioned. Then should be kept separate just like church and state. That's a historical analogy there. I guess conceptually, I still think I'm writing in a newspaper. This article would have primarily been online, looking at the actual layout, even in the anthology. Even though the reality of what that means has changed beyond measure since I started doing it. So now I'm sitting grumpily in a spaceship with my arms folded, wearing a stovepipe hat. Ridiculous. So he uses this analogy here, this deliberate juxtaposition between an image from science fiction with something that's kind of more older and Victorian or 19th century kind of imagery there. So there's an incongruity about that image that he creates, which is meant to be him. How he kind of feels incongruous in his he feels like a grumpy old man reacting against the modern tendency of there being loads of words flying around on something. Then he uses a minor sentence there, ridiculous. As if that's very much like a spoken kind of thing that we would do, reflected on something. These days, most newspaper sites are geared towards encouraging interaction with a minuscule fraction of readers who bother to interact back, which is a pity because I'm selfishly uninterested in conducting any kind of meaningful dialogue with humankind in general. So again, more hyperbole there, where he's exaggerating his own kind of misanthropy that he has himself. Then I'd say Twitter's better for back and forth discussion anyway. If you could be asked with it, that's a very colloquial phrase, isn't it, as well? Yelling out the window at passers-by is another option. So he's being deliberately ironic again, it's for humorous purposes. When it comes to comments, discourse marker, despite not being as funny as I never was in the first place, I get an incredibly easy ride from passing well-wishers, using that ironically, compared with any woman who dares write anything on the internet anywhere about anything at all. He uses he's kind of being hyperbolic here, but he's kind of humorously, it's be careful how you write about this because he's not really saying this. This is again like they're kind of indirect quotations of the kind of things that trolls write on the internet. So he's using these pejoratives to illustrate his point. So the ugly bitch, boo, go home, bitch, go home. There's diacope there if you want to put that in. Getting slagged off online, that's a colloquial verb phrase. Online is par for the course, and absorbing the odd bit of constructive criticism is character building. The positive comments are more unsettling. Who needs to see typed applause accompanying an article? So that's an analogy there as well. It's just weird. I don't get it. So this is actually an example of parataxis. These short, simple sentences. Just weird. I don't get it. And it actually creates cohesion because it goes back to what was up here about feeling out of place in the modern world with it. Then, scrolling down, We got, but then right now I don't get most forms of communication. So there's cohesion between the end here and this reference following on so quickly there, and in front of conjunction there as well. There's just so much of it. Everybody talking at once and all over each other. Everyone on the planet typing words into their computers forever, like I'm doing now. So it's self-referential again. I fail to see the point of roughly 98% of human communication at the moment, which indicates I need to just stroll around somewhere quiet for a bit. Then, after my break and a rethink, I'll quietly return later in the year to write something slightly different, slightly less regularly, probably fortnightly. So there's more parenthesis there. In other words, I'm reducing my carbon emissions. So this creates cohesion because it goes back to the idea of reducing the emissions, the word emissions earlier on that was said, and then also the idea of a factory pumping out carbon dioxide. And whatever the new thing I'm writing turns out to be, it'll appear both online, still accompanied by the requisite string of comments, and in the newspaper. And he uses here at the end as well this deliberately sarcastic comment here as well. It's a very kind of simplistic, deliberately prosaic definition of a newspaper, which is a foldable thing, deliberate vagueness there, made of paper, containing words and pictures, which catches fire easily and is sometimes left on trains. So it fits in with that sarcastic voice that he has there as well. It fits in with the irony and the satire and those other things. This imperative here, now get out, he actually uses that on his television programme as well. So it's presumably a stylistic feature that he repeats across different articles as well. So you could say it contributes to his own kind of his own style, and it's a kind of discourse structure there as well. So hopefully you found that useful. All the others are available as well for you to listen to. There's 20 of them. Hope you found that one useful, and thanks for listening.